March 19th is not an ordinary date, and you must not treat this Pisces new moon like just another quiet shift in the sky. This is a threshold, a living one, a spiritual crossing between the version of your life that kept asking in silence and the version that finally begins to receive an answer. Something you have carried for longer than anyone knows is being touched now. Something private, something tender, something you may have nearly given up on. And if you have felt lately as though the universe has gone silent right when you needed it most, you must understand what is happening now. The silence was not abandonment. It was preparation, because this Pisces new moon does not arrive to tease you. It arrives to open the doorway. This is a karmic shift, and the doorway is the symbol that matters here. Not because it sounds poetic, but because it is exact. A doorway is not the whole house. It is not the final destination. It is the moment of crossing. The moment you leave one reality and enter another. And on March 19th, under the Pisces new moon, many people will feel that crossing in ways they cannot fully explain at first. The energy will not always announce itself through noise. Sometimes it enters as a deep calm after months of pressure. Sometimes it arrives as tears you did not expect. Sometimes it shows up as sudden clarity about what you can no longer chase, no longer fix, no longer beg for, and no longer betray yourself to keep. But make no mistake, a doorway is opening, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Pisces energy is not practical in the narrow sense. It does not move like a schedule or a machine. It moves like memory, intuition, surrender, longing, spirit, and truth that has been swimming underneath your ordinary life for a very long time. A new moon in Pisces is not just about beginnings. It is about invisible beginnings. Beginnings that first happen in the soul before they can be measured in the outer world. That is why this moment can feel so strange. The old life may still appear to be standing, but something inside it has already dissolved. The old emotional script may still be trying to speak, but it has lost its authority. The old fear may still knock on the door, but it is no longer the owner of the house. This new moon opens the doorway by dissolving what kept you trapped in the room you were never meant to live in forever. Before this moment, many of you have been carrying an ache you could not quite name. You may have felt suspended between chapters, exhausted by delays, confused by mixed signals, and quietly haunted by the question of whether your prayers were even being heard. There may have been nights when you felt emotionally flooded for no clear reason. Moments when your body felt heavy, your chest felt tight, and your mind kept circling the same fear over and over again. You may have tried to stay strong for everyone else, while privately feeling as though something essential inside you was running on fumes. You may have smiled in public and felt deeply uncertain in private. You may have told yourself to be patient while secretly wondering how much longer you were expected to wait. That is the emotional truth of the doorway. Before you walk through it, there is almost always a period of disorientation, a hallway between realities, a strange space where the old chapter no longer fits, but the new chapter has not fully taken form. That is where many people have been. Not lost in the dramatic sense, but unanchored. Not broken in a final sense, but softened. Not abandoned by the universe, but stripped of false control. You have been in spiritual preparation, and spiritual preparation rarely looks glamorous from the inside. It looks like fatigue. It looks like doubt. It looks like silence. It looks like holding yourself together while the deeper architecture of your life is quietly being rearranged behind the walls, and now the energy shifts. This Pisces new moon does not bring force. It brings release. It brings revelation through softness. It brings movement through surrender. It brings answers, not always in the form you expected, but in the form your soul can actually build on. That is why this is a karmic shift rather than a passing emotional high. Something is ending here, and not in the shallow way people often talk about endings. A cycle of spiritual hunger is ending. A cycle of chasing what could not truly feed you is ending. A cycle of overgiving, over-explaining, overweighting, and over-sacrificing yourself to keep hope alive is ending. The doorway opens when you stop trying to become smaller just to fit through the old one. For many of you, the deepest wish is not even what you have been saying out loud. It may not be the obvious wish. It may not be the wish your ego speaks first. Under this Pisces new moon, the deepest wish is often revealed underneath the surface desire. Beneath the wish for love may be the wish to feel safe enough to receive love without fear. Beneath the wish for money may be the wish to stop living in survival mode. Beneath the wish for recognition may be the wish to finally believe your presence matters. Beneath the wish for a new opportunity may be the wish to stop living a life that betrays your spirit. Pisces does not just grant surface desires, it exposes what the soul has actually been asking for all along. That is why this new moon can feel emotional in a way that surprises you. You may feel more sensitive than usual. Music may hit differently. Certain memories may rise unexpectedly. You may dream of people from the past lost, feel tears behind your eyes for no obvious reason, or sense a deep internal stillness that feels both beautiful and unsettling. Your nervous system may register this shift before your mind can explain it. You may feel heaviness in the chest one day and sudden spaciousness the next. You may find yourself unable to tolerate noise, chaos, fake conversations, or emotionally shallow environments. You may crave solitude, water, sleep, or silence. That is not weakness. That is your system recognizing that the doorway is near and asking for enough quiet to hear. What is calling you through it? Some of you will feel this new moon as restlessness rather than softness. You may feel a strange urgency in your body, a subtle pressure to clear, release, cancel, step back, stop performing a role that no longer feels true. You may notice throat tension from unsaid truth. You may notice tightness in the stomach around certain people or decisions. You may notice that your usual distractions are not working the way they used to. Even your coping patterns may begin to feel less satisfying. That is because the doorway is not only opening toward a wish, it is also closing behind a version of you that cannot come with you. The habits built for survival may not fit the life built for alignment in the mental and spiritual realm. This Pisces new moon can bring a strange combination of fog and inner knowing. That may sound contradictory, but it is one of the signatures of this energy. The logical mind may not have every answer yet, but the deeper self is already aware of what is true. You may not be able to prove why you feel differently, but you will feel it. You may not have the full map, but you will know which room no longer belongs to you. That is the doorway working on your consciousness. It does not always hand you a finished plan. Sometimes it gives you the sacred discomfort that prevents you from staying where your soul has already outgrown. Now let us talk about abundance, because this is not only an emotional transit, it is also a receiving transit. Pisces is connected to faith, flow, surrender, intuition, and the unseen streams through which support can enter. Under this new moon, money themes may come up in a deeply personal way. Not just how much you have, but how safe you feel receiving. Not just your income, but your pattern with worth. Not just what you desire to build, but whether you still carry hidden beliefs that say wanting more is selfish, risky, or impossible. A wish cannot fully enter a life that still treats scarcity like a permanent identity. This is where the doorway becomes financial as well as spiritual. Some of you are being shown exactly where you leak energy, time, money, and life force by continuing to invest in what does not return peace. Some of you are being called to stop romanticizing struggle. Some of you are being asked to notice where desperation has distorted your timing. Pisces can be dreamy, and that means this new moon asks for both intuition and discernment. Trust what feels aligned, but do not confuse fantasy with truth. The abundance opening here is real, but it favors what is spiritually clean. It favors choices made from self-respect, not panic. It favors the long-term structure of peace. It's not the temporary thrill of escape. You may see money movement in subtle ways first. A delayed payment may arrive. A conversation about work may reopen. A new idea for business or creative income may come through during quiet moments. A financial truth you have avoided may become impossible to ignore, and that too is part of the blessing. Sometimes the doorway opens by showing you what must be corrected before increase can safely enter. Protect your resources now. Watch where guilt makes you spend. Watch where fear makes you cling. Watch where emotional emptiness makes you say yes to opportunities that drain rather than nourish. This new moon wants to align your finances with your deeper worth, not just your immediate craving. The body will also tell the truth during this transit, and you must not separate the body from the spiritual message. Pisces energy can heighten sensitivity, blur boundaries, and amplify whatever has been pushed down for too long. Sleep may become more vivid. Dreams may be louder. Some of you may feel unusually tired, even if you have not done anything dramatic. Others may feel bursts of inspiration, followed by the need to lie down and withdraw. Hydration matters now. Rest matters now. Quiet matters now. The nervous system is not a side issue. It is part of the doorway. If you have been overstimulated, emotionally overexposed, or constantly available to energies that do not respect your limits, the body may protest. Headaches, fatigue, throat tightness, shallow breathing, emotional heaviness, or a general feeling of being energetically crowded may show up. Listen, this is not a transit for pushing yourself through exhaustion just to prove you can. This is a transit for honoring subtle signals before they become louder consequences. Water, sleep, breath, gentleness, and reducing noise can become spiritual acts under Pisces. Your healing will not come from domination. It will come from cooperation with what your body has been begging you to notice. And then there are relationships, where this new moon may become especially revealing, because the deepest wish is rarely separate from how you are loved, how you are seen, and what you have been tolerating in the name of connection. Pisces can bring romance, longing, forgiveness, tenderness, and spiritual union. But it can also expose illusion, projection, confusion, mixed signals, and emotional drift. This means relationships under this new moon can become either more sacred or more honest. In many cases, both. You may suddenly see that someone's inconsistency is not mystery. It is information. You may realize that the silence you kept excusing was actually an answer. You may understand that emotional breadcrumbs are not a love story. You may feel the grief of finally admitting that you wanted someone's potential more than their reality. This can hurt, but it is holy pain if it returns you to truth. The doorway of Pisces does not only open toward fantasy, it opens toward soul-level honesty. And honesty is the beginning of peace. For others, this new moon can soften walls that have been too rigid for too long. A guarded heart may begin to open. A meaningful conversation may finally happen. Someone may return, not always to restart the story, but to complete it properly. An apology may arrive. A truth may be spoken. A pattern may be recognized in time to stop repeating itself. But even here, the guidance remains the same. Watch actions more than words. Watch consistency more than chemistry. Watch how your body feels around them. Real love under this transit will not require you to abandon your intuition to keep hope alive. Communication becomes spiritually significant now. One honest conversation could change the atmosphere of an entire relationship. One moment of self-respect could close a cycle that has drained you for years. One refusal to chase could restore your dignity more than 10 explanations ever could. If someone is unclear, let their behavior speak. If someone is present, consistent, and emotionally mature, you will feel the difference. This new moon does not want you trapped in emotional guessing games. The doorway opens where truth is allowed to exist without decoration, and perhaps the most painful relationship truth here is the relationship with yourself. Have you been speaking to yourself like someone worthy of the wish you keep asking for? Have you been treating your own energy like something sacred or like something endlessly available for misuse? Have you been waiting for the universe to confirm your value while continuing to negotiate with people, environments, and fears that already denied it? The deepest wish may not enter until your inner relationship becomes a place it can safely live. So what should you do under this Pisces new moon? First, slow down enough to hear what is real. This is not the moment for frantic decisions made from panic. It is a moment for sacred observation. Notice what keeps returning to your mind and heart. Notice what feels peaceful and what feels performative. Notice who drains your spirit and who steadies it. Notice what your body does around truth. Journal if you need to. Pray if you need to. Sit by water if you can. Reduce the noise enough for the quiet answer to arrive. Second, do not chase what is clearly pulling away. This new moon is not asking you to force open the wrong door. It is asking you to trust the doorway that opens when you stop begging to be led into rooms where your spirit cannot breathe. Let silence reveal. Let distance instruct. Let inconsistency expose itself. Your power now is in observation, not pursuit. Third, protect your energy and your money. Do not spend to soothe emotions you have not processed. Do not commit to what feels spiritually muddy. Do not say yes just because you fear losing the opportunity. What belongs to you under this new moon will not require self-betrayal as the entry fee. The real doorway may feel quiet, but it will not feel dirty. Fourth, allow emotional release without turning it into catastrophe. Tears do not mean failure. Fatigue does not mean weakness. The need for solitude does not mean you are broken. You are integrating. You are crossing. Give yourself permission to rest without guilt. Give yourself permission to change your mind. Give yourself permission to admit that what you wanted before may not be what your soul wants now. And now, let us speak directly to the 3 signs most affected by this Pisces new moon. Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. Pisces, this is your doorway, and it is opening from the inside out. You are not being asked to become someone else. You are being asked to stop hiding from the magnitude of what you already feel. For a long time, you may have carried other people's emotions, other people's projections, other people's confusion, and called it compassion. But this new moon is separating empathy from self-erasure. It is showing you where your softness became a place others learned to take without reciprocity. And now, your deepest wish is not just to be loved. It is to be met. To be recognized without having to translate your soul into something smaller and easier for others to handle. The magic for you comes when you stop standing outside your own doorway, waiting for permission to enter. Financially, this can bring a reset around worth and receiving. In love, it can expose who truly sees you and who only enjoyed your availability. Spiritually, it is a return to yourself. And once you return, the universe has far more room to answer you. Cancer. This new moon touches the chamber of faith, future, and emotional expansion. You have been carrying so much privately, more than many people realize. There has been a quiet burden on your heart, a longing for movement, a longing for relief, a longing to feel that life is opening rather than closing around you. Some of you have been grieving a version of the future you thought would have arrived by now. Others have been trying to stay emotionally safe by making your world smaller. But this doorway does not open through protection alone. It opens through trust. You are being asked to believe again, but not blindly. Differently, wiser, cleaner. This new moon may bring a spiritual sign, a powerful dream, a conversation, a travel idea, a new path of study, or a sudden emotional realization that changes how you see your next chapter. In relationships, you are being asked to stop mothering what refuses to mature. In money, you are being shown where fear has kept you too narrow. The wish being answered for you is tied to expansion. But it begins when you stop assuming the universe has forgotten your name. Scorpio. This Pisces new moon enters your emotional and creative waters with force, tenderness, and profound consequence. You are one of the signs most likely to feel the magic of this transit in a way that is both intimate and undeniable. But first, it may stir what has been buried. Old heartbreak, old desire, old shame, old longing, old fear of being seen too deeply. You may feel more vulnerable than usual, and that is not an accident. The doorway opening for you is tied to pleasure, love, creation, visibility, and the return of aliveness. For some of you, this will awaken romance. For others, it will awaken art, purpose, fertility, self-expression, or a kind of joy you forgot how to access. But the lesson is sharp. You cannot receive deep intimacy while hiding behind total control. You cannot experience magic while treating tenderness like a threat. This new moon wants to restore your connection to what is beautiful, but it also demands honesty about what fear has cost you. In relationships, someone may reveal how they truly feel, or you may finally admit your truth to yourself. In money and work, your gifts want expression, not secrecy. The wish being answered for you is not small. It is the return of emotional life force. For everyone listening, understand this. The universe does not always answer by handing you the finished dream. Sometimes it answers by clearing the fog. Sometimes it answers by closing the false door. Sometimes it answers by making your soul too honest to keep living half awake. That is still an answer. In fact, it may be the most merciful answer of all. The Pisces new moon on March 19th opens the doorway. But whether you walk through it consciously depends on your willingness to trust what is being shown now. Trust the release. Trust the clarity. Trust the discomfort that prevents you from settling. Trust the tenderness that returns you to yourself. Trust the quiet opening that does not need to shout in order to be real. Your deepest wish is not being mocked by the universe. It is being purified. It is being aligned. It is being prepared for a life that can actually hold it. So if you feel emotional now, let yourself feel. If you feel tired, rest. If you feel called to step back, step back. If you feel the truth about someone or something becoming impossible to ignore, do not ignore it. This is where everything changes, not because the sky will do all the work for you, but because the sky is finally showing you where the real doorway is. Walk toward what brings peace, not performance. Walk toward what honors your nervous system, not what exploits your hope. Walk toward what is consistent, clean, and spiritually true. Walk away from what keeps you starving while calling it destiny. The magic of this new moon is not only that wishes can be answered, it is that you are being changed into someone who can recognize the answer when it arrives. And that may be the most powerful. It's a miracle of all. Because when the doorway opens, the old life will always try one last time to convince you to stay. Familiar pain will call itself safety. Delayed love will call itself divine timing. Emotional confusion will try to wear the mask of mystery. But your soul knows better now. Your body knows better now. Your spirit knows the difference between a closed door and a door that is opening. On March 19th, the universe finally answers. Not with noise, not with spectacle, but with a shift so deep that the people who are ready will feel it in their bones. A prayer long held in the dark begins to stir. A cycle of waiting begins to break. A hidden current begins to move. And you, if you are willing, can cross. The doorway is open. Do not stand there doubting your worth while the blessing waits on the other side.